Hey everyone, Jeremy Langlois here coming to you from the beautiful Homeless House Estate and Gardens. This week we're starting to move into fall, so I have a great autumn soup for you, and it's a fall shrimp soup. So let's jump in and get cooking. This is a great home style recipe, something I think of my mom who used to create this wonderful vegetable soup around this time. This is very similar to that. It's one of these things, you just dump it all in the pot and it is good to go. My favorite type of recipe. So let's go ahead and get cooking. So I have some butter melted in my trusty black iron skillet or pot. Any pot would be fine. And I'm going to get some onions and some celery starting to saute in that butter. I'm also going to add in some chopped carrots. Get that going in there. Any good soup's going to have some good carrots in it as well. And I'm just looking to sweat these vegetables. That's a fancy culinary term, just saying lightly cook them till they start to get a little translucent. Not looking to caramelize them or brown them, but just kind of sweat them. Get them kind of starting to cook and get a little translucent. From there, I'm going to add some minced garlic. And I also have the corn kernels from 2 ears of corn. I'm going to go ahead and get that all cooking in here. Again, just get it in the pot, cranked up to about a medium high to high heat, and just have it starting to saute just very lightly. Keep it stirring. Doesn't take long at all, maybe about 5 minutes. At this point, we're ready to add a little bit of flour. You'll notice if you look down the pot, I'm sitting on a little bit of that excess butter. That's intentional because as I start to shake this flour into the pot, what it's going to do when I work that in is it's going to pick up that excess butter that we have in here and start to make the foundations of a roux. And as we all know in our cooking terminology, a roux is always a thickener for soups and sauces. Well, we're making a soup here, so it makes sense that we would add this into it. It's going to help just thicken up that liquid. Not too thick. We're not making no thick stew or anything like that, but it will give the soup some body, which is what we're looking for. After that, we're ready to start adding our stock. Now, I would encourage you, you never want to just add water. Now, if all you have is water, that would be fine. But I have some seafood stock here, some shrimp stock actually, made from the shrimp shells because at the restaurant we have the shells and we go ahead and make that stock and we love it. However, oftentimes when we're cooking at home, and even me as a chef cooking at home, it's very rare that I make stocks at home. What I'm a big fan of whenever I'm just cooking at home for a few people is I'll go to the grocery store. Oftentimes in that soup aisle, you walk down the soup aisle and you'll see these different boxed broths. And I am a big fan of those for the home cook for soups and sauces. They're a wonderful tool. So you can pick you up some seafood or some shrimp broth, or if they don't have that, you don't have to stress. A vegetable or a chicken broth are wonderful neutral broths as well. That's going to add a lot of base flavor to your soup. So go ahead and grab those and it's going to be fantastic. Now, all we want to do is just start to stir all this in. And for any time you're ever thickening something, whether it's with a roux like we just made in here or maybe cornstarch, whenever you're doing that, for it to thicken, it actually has to come up to a simmer or a boil to activate the thickiness within it. So now what we want to do is just kind of let it start to do that. As it comes up to a boil, all those flavors will start to marry. Those carrots will get a little bit more tender because they're a little bit of a heartier vegetable, so they need to cook a bit. So now let's just let this come up to a boil and let it get the thickness that we want. All right, we've come to a boil and that soup is starting to get a little more thick, starting to get just a little bit of body. So now we're ready to start to finish this up. Let me show you how we do it. Just a few more things to go in. We're working with shrimp, so just to add a little more flavor, I'm going to put a splash of white wine in there. White wine seafood is always going to be a wonderful pairing. I'll also have a 14-ounce can of diced tomatoes. So it's going to be another vegetable that's going to go in it, but also give it some more heartiness, that wonderful color and that wonderful flavor as all this starts to cook down into it. It's going to be just perfect. So we're going to get that in there. Now we're going to add our potatoes. Again, a nice hearty fall soup. So I have some potatoes here that are just blanched diced potatoes, meaning I diced them and I quickly boiled them in a little bit of water. Now, that's perfect for this to kind of finish it up very quickly. However, I'm a big fan of you modifying my recipes, which will be linked to the video. You decide how you want to go. Pre-blanch your potatoes and throw them in and par cook them. That's great just as you're getting all your mise en place or all your vegetables cut up. Or you could just dice the potatoes at this point, put them in the soup, knowing they're going to take about 10 to 15 minutes to cook in the soup. Same thing with the final ingredients I have. I have some shrimp I actually sauteed off in a little butter and lemon juice just before, so they're nice and cooked. So all I need to do is get them into the soup to warm up. However, at the very end, you could add your potatoes. Let them cook for about 10 or 15 minutes. Then you can come back with some raw shrimp, add those in, give them about 5 or 6 minutes in that kind of hot simmering soup, and they'll cook last second. Don't add your shrimp too early because shrimp will overcook very easily. They don't take long to cook at all. They'll start to curl and turn pink, and that way you know they're perfect. But I like kind of pre-cooking them ahead of time because that way they're all ready at the same time. All I'm doing is dropping them into the soup last second just to get them nice and warmed up. Finally, the last thing we want to do is season this. Got a little bit of black pepper, a little bit of salt. I got the measurements attached to the recipe, but you know, as always, when we're talking salt and pepper, it's going to be to taste. So always add a little salt, add a little pepper, taste it. Is it to your liking? Keep adding to a little bit at a time so it's perfect for you, and then you just stop. You know, you can always add to, but you can never take away. But other than that, look at this, just a very simple, hearty, rustic soup. Again, reminding me of that vegetable soup my mother used to make. Let's just go ahead and serve this up into the bowl. And there you have it, guys. Give this recipe a try. Drop a comment. Let me know if it worked out for you. Other than that, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll have another recipe next week. Bye for now.